Hey everybody, welcome to SaltyOldGamer, where we're on an airsoft journey and we're sharing everything we learn along the way. Today we're going to break down the different battery options you have here, Airsoft AEG, and we're going to make it easy to understand what you should be using. By the end of this video, you're going to be able to speak battery lingo like a pro, so stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome in. If you're new to Airsoft, or maybe even if you're not new to Airsoft, you may be totally confused when everybody's talking about Deans, Tamiya, Lipo, Ma, Nunchuck, Buffer Tube, Pec Box. Well, we're gonna clear it all up for you. Like I said, if you're not new, you may find some tidbits of useful information in here too. So let's jump right into it. All right, there's two main types of battery out there today. There's nickel metal hydride, which is also known as NIM, and lithium polymer, called Lipo. NIM is by far the most popular, so let's take a look at that first. NIM batteries can come in a style called nunchuck, which they look like nunchucks, or a stick style. And as voltage goes, these will come as either 8.4 volts or 9.6 volts. And they're made up of individual 1.2 volt cells. So the number of cells determines the overall voltage. So for instance, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cells, 1.2 volts per cell. So it's a 9.6 volt stick battery. The battery's capacity is measured in mAh, which is milliamp hours. This is basically the gas tank of the battery. For NIM batteries, typically speaking, your capacity for airsoft is 1 BB shot per mAh. So this particular 1600 mAh battery, you could get 1600 shots off out of your AEG before you deplete a fully charged NIM battery. Now, NIM batteries do discharge over time, so when you're getting ready to play on the weekend, you definitely want to put these back on the charger and charge them up the night before. The second kind of battery is called Lipo, which stands for lithium polymer. They come in a rectangular stick style like this one that typically goes in your buffer tube or extra space within your stock. Or they also come in a more square Pec Box variety. Now these do come in 7.4 volt or 11.1 volt varieties. You can't see under the wrapper here, but like the NIM, these are made up of individual 3.7 volt cells within the wrapping. So the number of cells determines the overall voltage of the stick itself. These are smaller than NIM batteries for the same equivalent volts. For instance, this is an 11.1 volt battery, and it's arguably smaller than a 9.6 volt nickel metal hydride battery. And one of the main benefits of Lipo batteries, in addition to being a bit smaller for a higher voltage, is the discharge rate. This particular one is 25C, and for airsoft you want to stay in a discharge rate of anywhere between 15 to 30C, and this is basically how fast you can pump that juice into your engine. And since these do have a higher discharge rate, running a Lipo battery will result in faster and better trigger response and faster rate of fire. But generally speaking, regardless of whether it's NIM or Lipo, you're going to have a higher rate of fire the higher voltage you go in battery. But since a Lipo battery pushes your engine a bit harder, you need to make sure that your gun can take it before you use a Lipo. Now you may see manufacturers out there that are marketing their guns as Lipo ready. And all that really means is that they have gearboxes that are all metal, or that they have quality construction enough so that they can handle the higher rate of fire and the greater wear and tear without any ill effects. Now that being said, you need to make sure that your gun can take this, because if you have a gun that's got plastic gears, or if you have a low quality gearbox, or if you've got a very inexpensive starter gun, Lipos could reduce the life of the gun. You're running the engine faster, so it's going to wear out faster.
One additional thing to note real quick here about Lipos is historically carbon buildup on your trigger contacts that leads to trigger issues has been a concern with Lipos. But if your gun comes with a MOSFET, you're good to go. Also, most guns these days come with low resistance wiring, which helps ensure smooth electrical flow from the battery, so in that case you're probably good as well. We have multiple guns with no MOSFET and low resistance wiring that we've run 11.1 Lipos in for the better part of 6 months or more without any issues, but I do clean them every 3 or so uses. Just something to keep in mind.
Another benefit of running a Lipo is that you get more out of it per milliamp hour. You get about 2 shots per mAh instead of 1 shot per mAh of the NIM. So for this 1200 mAh Lipo battery, I get 2400 shots, whereas with this 1600 mAh NIM, only getting about 1600. Lipos actually also discharge slower than NIMH batteries when they're not in use, so these are going to last a bit longer when they're in storage. But while we're on that subject, Lipos are not meant to be depleted 100%. If you deplete a Lipo battery 100%, you've basically killed the battery. So you need to make sure, just as a common practice, when you come home from gaming on the weekend, you want to hook this up onto the battery charger and just top it off, just to be safe. And speaking of battery chargers, Lipos do take a special battery charger for Lipo batteries. You need to make sure you get a Lipo charger that has a Lipo selection on it. And when you go to charge this, you're not going to use the connector that connects it to your gun. You're going to use the charging adapter right there to charge it. Now, historically speaking, Lipos have been known to catch fire. And I've been told that they really don't have this problem anymore. The technology's advanced enough now that it's really not a hazard, but you will still see these advertised with Lipos, this Lipo guard bag to prevent Lipo fires. And if you're gonna run Lipos, just follow good safety practices. Get yourself a Lipo guard bag. When you're charging it, just charge it in that bag so that you're not running any risk of causing a fire. And when you store it, especially when you travel with it, if you're gonna have this in any bag for travel, make sure you've got it in a Lipo guard bag, just so you're not running the risk of causing a fire. Well, there's actually a third type of battery that really isn't used anymore, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on it. We're just going to mention it, and that's called nickel cadmium. And nickel cadmium batteries are really old. They're what airsoft guns used to use way back in the day. You really don't see nickel cadmium batteries anymore, but if you hear of someone talking about a nickel cadmium battery, at least you'll be in the know. It's an old style battery that's not used anymore. So let's talk a second about the different types of connectors for batteries. There's two main types of connectors. The most common one is called small Tamiya, and this is what it looks like. When you mirror it to the plug on your gun, it's going to lock into place right there on that lock tab. Now, there are what's called large Tamiya connectors, but they're much rarer. And even when you have a large Tamiya connector on your gun, you can get a large to small Tamiya adapter so that you can use all the common batteries. And again, these small Tamiya adapters are the most common. You're going to see them in 99% of guns out there, straight from the manufacturer when you buy them. The other kind of connector is called a Dean's connector. Now, I don't actually have any guns that are wired to Dean's, so let me show you a picture. The Dean's connector is a very durable connection compared to the small Tamiya. It offers the best battery to gun connection so that there's less power loss, and as a result, you typically get a higher rate of fire from a Dean's connection. Upgrading your connector to a Dean's connector is a popular upgrade for veterans or people that are getting a little bit more serious about airsoft. And you basically just have to splice a Dean's connector onto the existing wires for your existing AAG connector. So there you go. Now you can walk out onto the field and speak battery like a pro. Thanks for liking, sharing, and commenting on this video. And if you haven't already, join us on our airsoft journey by smashing that subscribe button. We put out videos every Tuesday and bonus videos on Fridays. Hit that bell notification so you don't miss a single one, and we'll see you next time.